All right, I think we're ready to get started. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out today for this special announcement. Obviously a big day for South Carolina baseball. Format's going to be similar to what we had on Friday. We're going to bring up the new athletic director, Ray Tanner, who will introduce the new baseball coach. The new coach will make some opening comments, then we'll have some time for a question and answer from the media here, and then afterwards the secondary press conference, that the gaggle as we call it. Without further ado, I'd like to turn over to the new athletic director at the University of South Carolina, Ray Tanner.
Good morning, all. Thank you for being here today. More than 40 years ago, the Yankee great and legendary Bobby Richardson took over the Carolina baseball program and immediately gave it tremendous credibility and College World Series appearances. A few years later, Coach June Raines took over the program for a lengthy time and continued to move the program forward, and the College World Series was part of his resume. We're very fortunate today in our university to be competing for championships in baseball, playing in the best facility in the country, in front of the greatest fans in the nation. We have great support from our university administration and great support from our media friends here. The time is right now for me to take off the uniform and let the next person build on what Coach Richardson and Coach Raines has started. I realize that as the athletics director, there's going to be days that are challenging and days that tough decisions will have to be made. Today is not one of those days. Our new head baseball coach is a man of tremendous character and great experience. He will successfully lead our Gamecocks in years to come. Having been in the game for more than 30 years, I feel like I know who the good coaches are and the ones who make a difference. We have one that is a difference maker. Our new coach just completed his 4th season as associate head coach of the Gamecocks. He coached 15 seasons prior to at UNC before coming to Carolina in 2008. He's had numerous opportunities to become a head coach many years ago and some most recent, but he never engaged seriously in taking another job. He always told me, "I'm waiting for the right one." The right one is now. He was honored as the 2011 ABCA Assistant Coach of the Year. He's coached 17 All-American hitters and has had 42 conference performers on the offensive side. 16 of the players that he has recruited have made it to the big leagues. He was a recruiting coordinator at UNC and here at Carolina, and just last year, our recruiting class was ranked '1 in the country by Collegiate Baseball that featured freshman All-Americans Grayson Griner and Jordan Montgomery, as well as freshman All-SEC standouts Griner, Tanner English, and Joey Pancake. He has been to 15 NCAA tournaments, 6 College World Series, 3 national runner-up teams, and 2 national championship teams. In the last 7 years, he's been in the College World Series 6 times. At UNC and here at Carolina. While he's been the associate head coach, our record has been 198 and 73. That's a winning percentage of .731. After a lengthy interview with our coach, I reminded him that the former coach had worn uniform #1, and he was wearing uniform #2. I asked him which uniform he would wear in 2013. He immediately said #2, but I think he deserves to be wearing #1. This job in baseball here at Carolina could have attracted many of the top coaches throughout the country, but the best man and the best coach for this job is already here. He's been a great coach, he's been a great communicator, he's a great recruiter and evaluator of talent. He will be a great ambassador for the University of South Carolina. Please join me as I welcome Chad Holbrook as a head baseball coach at the University of South Carolina.
Coach, they don't have to change the height of this mic, so that's a good start, I guess. I'm honored and privileged to be the head baseball coach at the University of South Carolina. This is a 19-year dream come true. It's hard to believe that a country boy from Shelby, North Carolina is standing up here as the head baseball coach at the nation's premier college baseball program. What this program has been able to accomplish over the years is simply amazing. I've learned so much from Coach Tanner, and I can't wait to tell you some funny stories about him. It's been my dream to coach at a premier institution, to raise my family in a great community, and to work at a university where I could work with great people. South Carolina and this university affords me all of that. It was also important that I work at a place that could compete for and win championships. We've also shown that we have that ability. This is the perfect opportunity for me. This is the perfect opportunity for my family, and I'm honored to stand here as the head baseball coach at the University of South Carolina. I'd like to take this time to introduce my family. My wife, Jennifer, and my two sons, Reese and Cooper, are here with us today. You've probably seen Reese and Cooper running around Carolina Stadium on game day. That's been fun for me to watch from the third base coaching box. Coach Tanner and I often have conversations in the locker room about our families. And in his scruffy voice, when talking about Jennifer, he would always say, "Hey, Holbrook, you've outkicked your coverage." I indeed have. But I also responded to Coach with, "No, Coach, I'm just a great recruiter." I also want to thank the Board of Trustees, President Pastides, as well as Coach Tanner. I've had the opportunity to have serious conversations with the president of our university over the last couple of years. His wisdom and his guidance have been so beneficial to me. I trusted his words, I trusted his vision, and he was right on with everything that he said. It's so special to have a president to care so much about the athletic department and our baseball program. Coach Tanner, and I'll always call you Coach Tanner, you've been incredible. You've given me an incredible opportunity. The trust that you have shown in me is tough for me to explain. I know that you always told me that I'm not short on confidence, but you are the one that gave me the confidence to tackle this challenge ahead. You know, in 1996, I snuck into the press conference when Coach Tanner was introduced as head baseball coach here at South Carolina. I talked my way in. I told him I was a member of the media. I wasn't. At that press conference, I gave him a note, and I told him, "It's my hope and my dream that one day I can work for you." I knew at that time it probably wouldn't work out, but he kept that note, and he remembered what I said in that note, and 4 years ago, he gave me the opportunity to work on his staff. I've learned so much from him. He's given me the blueprint on how to run a college baseball program. Our staff will continue to use that blueprint that Coach Tanner has given me step by step, every step of the way. I also want to thank our players, our coaching staff, and our support staff. Kyle Lipsey, Drew Meyer, Christy Davis, Billy Anderson, Dr. Casper. You've all been terrific to me. Also, Steve Bondurant, our academic advisor, has guided our guys to consistent semesters of academic GPAs over 3.0. And we're excited that this staff is going to remain intact. I also think it's important to thank Mike Roberts for giving me the opportunity to play baseball at North Carolina and to hiring me into this coaching profession. I also like to thank Mike Fox for giving me the opportunity to continue to coach at my alma mater. Also, Roy Williams, a close friend of our families. Our family's been through some difficult times, and Coach Williams was always there for us. We will always be grateful to him, and we can't wait to be with him in the near future at an event here in Columbia. It goes without saying, also, made a mistake almost, I also want to thank my dad. I grew up in a gym watching his teams practice basketball at Gardner-Webb and at Furman. I knew then as a young kid that I wanted to coach and I wanted to recruit. I did that because I wanted to be like my dad. My dad is here today, and I want to thank him for everything he's done. It's also very neat to have some of my dad's former players here today. It's awfully special. I used to rebound the basketball for some of the guys that are in the room today. So neat, so special to myself and to my family. Also, Jennifer's family is here as well. Her dad, Jimmy, her mom, Kay, her twin sister, Caroline. They're from Olympia. So when the waters get rough around here, I got the folks of Olympia at my back. So I feel very safe at the shoes, in the position as being a head coach here at South Carolina. You know, I'm not up here to try to replace Ray Tanner. I can't. No one can. I can only be the best Chad Holbrook that I can be. But when we have to make difficult decisions in the course of a game, I'm going to have a bracelet. And on that bracelet, it's going to have initials. It says WWRD. What would Ray do? If I follow the decisions that he's made and that he's shown me, I think this baseball program will be just fine. Our staff will continue to embrace the tradition established by Coach Tanner and others. We will not sit back on our laurels. We will not sit back on our past. And I want to tell you a funny story. I was on the phone one day in the office talking to a recruit. And I was talking about our national championships. Coach Tanner stuck his head into my office and he said, "Will you let that go? If you keep talking about history, our current team won't be able to make it." Boy, what great advice. What great advice. We're going to try to be the best that we can each and every day. We're not going to talk about Omaha. We're not going to talk about championships. We're going to talk about doing our best each and every day. And hopefully come June, we'll find ourselves in a good spot. People often ask me, am I going to give up the title of recruiting coordinator? I love to recruit. Coach Williams called me on the phone last night and he said, don't make a mistake other coaches make when they move up a seat and they move into the head coaching, in the head coaching role. Make sure you always do what you're good at doing. I think that's one of my strengths, and I want our fans to know that I'm going to continue to recruit my rear end off for this great university. We have incredible fan support. It makes it so special to coach here and recruit here. Every time we take the field at Carolina Stadium, to see the passion, enthusiasm, and dedication of our fans really creates an advantage for our team and our program. I can't wait come February to take the field at Carolina Stadium as your head baseball coach in front of another packed house. In conclusion, people often ask, what are you going to recruit? Are you going to recruit speed? Are you going to recruit the 3-run homer like Coach Tanner often did? And that worked pretty darn well. Or are you going to recruit pitchers? I think the backbone of our team, and I know, and you've witnessed it over the last several years, the backbone of any championship team is its pitching staff. Coach Jerry Myers will assume the role as associate head coach, and he will lead our pitchers into the 13 season. I'm an awful lucky head coach as I stand up here. I have a terrific staff. Jerry Myers is one of the best, if not the best, pitching coaches in the country. He's been a head coach at the NCAA Division I level. I'm going to lean on him daily. I'm also excited about Coach Esposito, one of the best young coaches in the game. He teaches me more than I teach him. They're not here today, and they called last night and wanted to be here. And I told them, you're not going to make our program any better by being at my press conference. You'll make us better if you're on the road recruiting. And they are. Both of them are out of state, working hard for our baseball program. In conclusion, I just want to say thanks for coming today. It's an honor, it's a thrill, it's a dream come true. I'm excited to be your baseball coach at the University of South Carolina. Thank you.
At this time, we'll open up for questions from the media. If you just raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you, and please ask your question. Pete's got the first one.
Chad, you say you're going to continue to recruit like crazy, not give up the title of recruiting coordinator. How about third base? Are you going to move from there to the top step of the dugout?
That's something I'm going to continue to talk about with our staff. I might lean on number one over here and ask him what he would think would be best. You know, that's the neat thing about having Coach Tanner a phone call away. Every day, I'm going to drive him crazy and tap into his experience. If I have something I don't know how to answer, I'm calling Coach Tanner. He's my security blanket, and I can't wait to utilize that blanket often. That's being discussed right now, and I certainly will make a decision as we get ready for the fall, but we certainly have some time to think about that.
Teddy?
Coach, how about the rest of your staff?
Right now, Jerry Myers will be our pitching coach, and Sammy Esposito will work with our catchers as well as our infielders. We will fill Sammy's vacant spot, the volunteer assistant coach, at some point at a later date, probably in the fall, probably right before fall practice gets underway.
Other questions? Good, Tim.
You mentioned the security blanket of Coach Tanner being there. Is there any reluctance, I believe he might call it tension or apprehension, about replacing a legendary guy who's had so much success?
I'll look at it the other way. It's an honor that a legend has asked me to replace him. That's the best compliment I've ever received as a baseball coach. I can't fill his shoes. No one can. He's the best baseball coach that's ever coached in college baseball, in my opinion. I can't measure up to Coach Tanner. I can only do the best that I can do, and I hope in time that'll be good enough.
Chad, Ray mentioned, your accolades as a recruiting coordinator, and obviously, you could get a job at any college program where there was an opening. What about replacing you, though? I mean, if your status is that high, the guy replacing you doesn't have anything close to that status. How hard is it going to be to replace a guy like you on the staff?
Well, I'm still on the staff, and I'm going to continue to recruit like crazy. I'm going to continue to coach like crazy. I'm going to continue to follow the blueprint that Coach Tanner is. I've been like a sponge for the last 4 years. He's taught me everything that I need to know. When it came to making tough decisions, disciplined players, things off the field, from media to speaking engagements, to coaching from the first pitch of the game to the last pitch of the game. I'm going to try my best to emulate Coach. I don't think I can, but I'm going to try. We don't have to replace me, and I can't replace Coach, but I'm going to be still out front recruiting. Coach Espo and myself will take the bull by the horns when it comes to recruiting and traveling. Coach Esposito will probably miss games in the spring. I'm going to let him take the bull by the horns as far as traveling, going and seeing kid after kid. Poor Neil Esposito, his wife is pregnant, and they're expecting, and I hate it for her. Because that's one of the things that a coaching wife and a coaching family has to come to realize. It's not easy. And I want to thank Jen, too, and for allowing me to do what I want to do and what I love to do, because it's not easy on her, and it's not easy on the wives of our coaches.
Chad, you'd been in this business for a long time. You obviously were ready for a step like this 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, even earlier than that. Did Ray have to say to you 2 years ago, this is coming sooner rather than later to kind of keep you here? Did you have a sense that this moment would be occurring fairly short time since?
No, I didn't. I came here 4 years ago to be an assistant coach for Ray Tanner. I wanted to learn from him. There was nothing expected. There was nothing guaranteed. I knew, took my dad's advice and as well as Coach Tanner's, to do the best I could every day, and the right opportunity would come along. And like I said earlier, this isn't just the right opportunity. It's the perfect opportunity. I tried to do the best I could every day. I remained patient. Coach Tanner encouraged me to remain patient, and that's really all the advice he gave me. And I did remain patient. But you know what? It doesn't get any better to be the head baseball coach at the University of South Carolina.
Jim.
Coach, over the years, and of course it was attested to this past season, how many South Carolinians comprise Carolina baseball. That is, of course, as you look around at all the guys who are moving on up through the major league ranks now. So I would imagine that this is going to continue to be the hotbed, the core base for Carolina recruiting for your program.
That will not change. Our first priority will always be to recruit the state of South Carolina first. I'm indebted. We don't win 2 national championships without Michael Roth, Scott Wingo, Brady Thomas, John Taylor. And the list goes on and on and on. If we don't take care of our state first, we're in trouble. That'll be our priority and our focus each and every year when it comes to recruiting.
You mentioned your dad being an influence as far as recruiting and things of the like. What about other influences back home, playing Shelby, football, basketball, baseball, and being a 3-sport athlete?
One of the best coaches I ever played for was a man named Jim Taylor. He was my head football coach in high school. He still comes and visits us every year. I will take a lot into my responsibilities as head coach from what I learned from him. To this day, he remains one of the most influential people in my life. I haven't met anybody tougher and meaner than Jim Taylor. I do want to say one thing about a couple of things that happened over the last couple years that I failed to mention. Last year, when we were playing Florida, and I'm going to get emotional talking about this, Christian Walker had an injury that shouldn't have allowed that young man to play. And when I was talking about our support staff, I failed to mention the real reason we were probably able to win a national championship. Brainerd Cooper is a miracle worker. And for what he did and our medical staff did for Christian Walker to enable him to play with a broken hand and the toughness that he exhibited was one of the main reasons that we won a national championship. A program of this stature has so many working components. And there's so many people in the back that never get seen or never have accolades or never out front. But they're just as important as our coaches and our players. And boy, I'm awfully lucky to have an incredible support staff. And it's the resources that we have here at South Carolina are second to none.
Back of the room.
Coach in the back here. where does the patience come from for a guy like you that obviously probably had some opportunities when you see so many of your peers that just jump at the first Division I job, or they're willing to work their way up from a smaller school, say a Southern Conference school, but you were patient and clearly it paid off. Where does that come from?
I love being an assistant coach. I loved it. I never considered it a job, and I never considered it work. It was a tremendous experience for me. When I got down here and started working for Coach Tanner, even though I was his assistant, he gave me head coach's responsibilities. And I didn't need to go anywhere else. I had a lot of fun working here at South Carolina. I had a tremendous amount of fun working for Coach Tanner. I learned something new every single day. And I think that's where the patience came from. And it paid off.
Take one more here with Rick.
Okay, Chad, now you take over the program. What is the one thing that gives you the most apprehension about being the guy in charge?
I wanted to coach at a place where expectations were high. When we recruit young men, we recruit young men that embrace the expectations of this program and embrace the tradition of this program. That doesn't give me apprehension at all. We're going to try to do the best that we can, but our staff and our players will embrace the expectations that are in front of us, and they will embrace the feeling they get here in Columbia of being under the microscope. That's why you come to play at a program like South Carolina. And we want kids that want to be in that spotlight.
If there are no further questions, we'll wrap up the press conference. Again, thank you all for coming, and congratulations, Chad.
Thank you, Coach.